Do you like scary stories? Then get ready, because what you're about to hear will keep you up all night. Before the lights go out, leave a like and subscribe to the channel, because here, fear is real. Real scary encounters. Good evening. My name's Eli Turner. I'm 34 years old, and I grew up in a small farming town in southern Arkansas. A quiet place. Folks mind their own business, church on Sundays, and nights so still you can hear the coyotes crying from miles away. That's where my grandfather, Old Man Turner, used to tell stories by the fire. Stories that sounded too strange to be lies, but too real to be fiction. He'd say things like, "Never walk alone past the old mill road after midnight, and if you hear footsteps behind you, don't turn around." I thought it was just country talk, until I saw something I still can't explain. It was during Lent, a Friday night just before Easter, and I was driving back from a friend's place. The fog was thick, the kind that swallows the headlights whole. As I turned onto the old gravel road that leads home, I saw a man standing by the ditch. He wore a black suit, no hat, and he was dragging one leg as he walked. I slowed down, thinking maybe he'd been in an accident. But when my lights hit his face, I swear to God, he didn't have one. Just a blank, pale surface, like someone had wiped his face clean. I froze. He lifted his head toward me, and I could see the skin start to shift, like something was moving underneath. I hit the gas and didn't stop until I reached my driveway. When I got home, my grandmother was already waiting on the porch. She looked at me and said, "Boy, I told you not to take that road this time of year." Then she told me a story, one I wish I'd never heard. She said, back in the 1940s, a preacher and his wife died in a crash on that same road. When the sheriff found their bodies, the preacher's face was gone, like it'd been torn clean off. Since then, every Lent, someone driving that road at night sees the faceless man, and if you stop to look too long, he'll follow you home. That night, I barely slept. I could hear gravel crunching outside the house, slow steps circling the porch. When I looked through the blinds, there was no one there, but the dirt road was still wet with footprints. Years passed. I left town, moved north, tried to forget. But last summer, I went back to visit my folks. Driving down that same old road, I saw it again, a dark figure limping by the ditch. And this time, he stopped walking. He turned his blank face toward me and raised his hand. That's when the car shut off. No lights, no engine, just me and him. I don't know how long I sat there. When I woke up, it was morning. The car started fine, but there were fingerprints on the inside of my windshield. Grandma passed away the next day. Her last words to me were, "He followed you again, didn't he?" I moved far away after that. But some nights when the fog rolls in, I swear I still hear footsteps behind me, dragging one leg. Good night.
I didn't tell
anyone about that night. Not the police, not my parents. I just packed what I could, left Arkansas behind, and tried to start over. New town, new job, new life. But some things don't stay buried, not even fear. About 6 months later, I was living in Missouri, working night shifts at a small gas station off Route 19. Most nights were dead quiet, except for the sound of trucks passing through. One night, around 2:30 a.m., I was cleaning the coffee machine when the door chime went off. No one came in. I looked outside. The road was empty, fog spreading over the parking lot like smoke. That same heavy kind of fog, the kind that eats light. Then I saw it. A set of footprints on the wet pavement, leading straight to the door. But there was no one there. I froze, my heart pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. Slowly, the door handle started to move. Just a little, like someone was testing it from outside. "Hello?" I called out. My voice didn't sound like mine. Silence. Then, tap, tap, tap. 3 knocks on the glass. I took a step back, and that's when I saw it. The faint reflection in the window. A pale shape, blurred by the fog, standing just beyond the light. No face, no features, just smooth skin and a black suit. The power flickered. The lights went out. I remember hearing the hum of the refrigerators fade into nothing, the whole world swallowed by darkness. The only thing I could see was that figure, still there, behind the glass, not moving. I grabbed the flashlight from under the counter and turned it on. But when the beam hit the door, the figure was gone. The footprints, though, were still wet. The next morning, my boss found me sitting in the corner, still holding the flashlight, shaking. I quit that job that same day. But the thing is, it didn't stop. Wherever I move, no matter how far, I keep finding marks. Handprints on the car window, dirt on my doorstep. Sometimes, late at night, when the air gets still and the fog rolls through, I catch that smell again. Damp earth and old wood. And every time, it feels closer. Last night, I woke up to a sound. Tap. 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 But this time, it wasn't coming from outside. It was coming from inside the house. I followed the sound to the hallway mirror. My reflection was pale, hollow-eyed. Behind me, faintly I could see him, standing in the doorway, head tilted, skin shifting like something alive underneath. I turned around. Nothing there. But when I looked back at the mirror, my reflection was smiling. And it wasn't me.
For days after that night, I couldn't bear to look at a mirror. Every time I passed one, in the bathroom, the hallway, even a store window, I caught a glimpse of something that shouldn't have been there. a flicker of movement behind me, a shadow that lingered a moment too long. I started covering every reflective surface, mirrors, the TV screen, even picture frames. Anything that showed my reflection felt dangerous. Then one morning, I woke up and found every mirror in the house uncovered. Each sheet I'd used was folded neatly on the floor, and on the hallway mirror, written in dust, were 3 words: "You looked too long." That's when I decided to call someone. There's a local historian here in Missouri, Reverend Cole. He writes about hauntings in Southern folklore. I told him everything: the road, the preacher, the faceless man. He didn't laugh. He just went quiet. Finally, he said, "You shouldn't have run. You should have kept driving." When I asked what he meant, he told me about an old belief that some spirits, bound by unfinished oaths, attach themselves to anyone who acknowledges them. When you looked into its face, he said, you gave it a name, and when you ran, you carried it with you. I thought he was crazy until he showed me a photograph, a black and white picture from the 1940s, a preacher standing in front of a wooden church. His face was blurred, not from age, but from movement, like he'd turned just as the camera clicked. And behind him, by the ditch, a dark figure, almost human. Reverend Cole leaned close and whispered, "People around here call him the Hollow Man." That night, I dreamed of that name, Hollow Man, echoing in my head. When I woke up, my phone screen was glowing. A new message. No number. Just the words, "You shouldn't have told him." The next evening, Cole didn't answer my calls. I drove out to his house on the edge of town, fog rolling thick again. His front door stood open. Inside, every mirror was shattered, and written above his desk in ash were the same words my grandmother once told me: "He followed you again." I don't know how this ends. I've moved again, farther north, Minnesota this time. I keep the lights on. I sleep with the blinds shut, but when the fog drifts in from the lake, I see shapes in the window. They never stay long. They don't need to, because last night, when I turned off the lamp and looked at my reflection just for a second, it didn't blink when I did. I never knew if what I saw was real. Maybe it was just memory. Maybe something older watching through me. I moved again, far north, changed my number, my name. But sometimes, when the air turns cold and the mist rises, I still hear the slow drag of footsteps somewhere behind the walls. And every time I try to sleep, I tell myself it's just the wind. Just the wind. If you ever drive that old road and the fog starts to swallow your headlights, keep your eyes forward. Don't look in the mirrors.